Hello everyone, this is a quick video on teaching your dog to walk at your side and stop at your side when you stop without having treats in your hand. Oftentimes, new trainers or people new to using food to train their dogs will get stuck on the step of having a treat here in their hand to get the dog to stay with them, and it looks great. But as soon as the treat is out of the hand, the dog is off and not interested in wanting to be at your side. So why is that happening? The reason that's happening is because when you have a treat here in front of your dog's face, that is the cue to do the behavior. That is the strongest, most predictable cue to mean do the behavior. So what is a really good idea before you start not using food at all and trying to ask your dog to do the behavior in order to gain access to reinforcers in the environment is fading the treat lure or your target if you're using targeting instead of treats to teach the position. You can also use free shaping where you reinforce your dog for staying at your side and just shape approximations of walking at your side and the different turns. But if you're using treats and targeting, fading that lure is a great idea when the dog is stationary and also when the dog is moving. So here she is in the sit position, and I'm going to be marking and reinforcing her like that at my side. And then what I'm going to do is take my treat. I have some under the clicker here. The hand that's next to the dog, I'm going to take the treats that I'm going to be feeding her and put them behind my back. And while she's sitting at my side, not looking at the treats, that's when I'm going to mark and reinforce. So seeing me here is the cue to be at my side or looking forward. Her location being next to me is the cue to stay there and get the treats, not the treats being the cue to stay there. So the next step is walking around. So at first you want to warm the dog up by using whatever method you did to teach the dog to walk at your side. Maybe you lured the dog with a treat, or maybe you used a hand target and asked your dog to touch to get your dog to be at your side. Wishy touch? She said, what's going on? Touch? And then when the dog is moving, you can start to fade the target either up in front of you like this, and then eventually go to where you can put it behind your back. So she's walking here and I move the target higher up. Let's go. Encourage her. And then when she's doing good with moving the target further way up, I can then move the target further away behind and mark that step forward and then feed forward if the dog is lagging. And if the dog is foraging, I'm going to feed back. So say, for example, my hands disappear, the dog comes out here, I'm going to say mark for the dog not looking at the treat, but then I'm going to lure the dog back right next to me and nice and straight and feed the treat. Or if the dog's gone behind me to look at where I hid the treat, then I'm going to encourage the dog forward with my other hand, mark for following, for not looking at the treat, and then lure the dog forwards a little bit into the nice position and then feed. So the dog is learning, oh, the location that the treat happens is always when I'm right next to the person. There's no treat there, but it's going to suddenly, whoop, appear in front of my face. And that is going to train your dog not to be dependent on the food being in the training picture. Now we're going to put some treats over here. Ready, Wishy? Tight? Good. So she moved towards the treats, but I'm going to move her back and feed her in the position at my side like that. Good. So I'm going to reach for the chicken and feed her here. And what you can see is she's going to stop going forwards for the chicken because the only time she gets the chicken is right there. Now, if every time I reach and she comes forwards and then I lure her back, that can turn into a behavior chain. So you want to be quick. So one thing you can do in an exercise like this where the food is away from your person, say in the future you want your dog to walk at your side and then greet another dog or person or sniff a bush for walking on a loose leash or walking at your side like this off leash. What you can do is you have treats in the hand next to your dog, and as you go to reach for the chicken like this, good, you can then feed the dog like this, or good, and get your dog used to the fact that you doing this doesn't mean to go forward. And then when they're starting to stay at your side, then you can practice reaching and getting a treat, and moving around and then reaching for a treat off of you. So the dog is learning, oh, I stay with her, and that gets me the reinforcement, rather than this. This is not training the dog anything except to follow a lure, which is great for training new behaviors. As you can see, you can train a lot of behaviors. So pretty, get it, using a treat in your hand like that. And that's great. It's a way to communicate how to train something new, but it's not going to teach the dog to do it without the treat being there. You always have to fade the lure if you don't want to have the treat in front of your dog's nose on a walk, which I don't even think is a very healthy thing for a dog to be looking at a target or a treat while they're walking. You want your dog to be enjoying the environment. If you're on a walk together like this, where she knows where to stay and she can check out and smell the breeze in whatever direction she wants. If we were walking down a busy street, or sniff around, if it was like a more casual position at my side, or if it's like obedience or heel work to music, I want her to understand the concept of the behavior gets the treat, not the treat cueing the behavior, if that makes sense. And that's going to greatly reduce frustration when the treats are out of the picture or the dog doesn't feel like the treats or reinforcers you have. You can use anything in the environment as a reinforcer, anything the dog wants. Hey, Wishy, are you ready? So let's practice with this chicken. Good girl. Tight. Good. Tight. So I could also mark her here. Good. And then I could say, let's go. Good job. And do a less formal approach to the treats. But if you mark the dog away from the treats, most likely they're going to want to gravitate to where they get them. So the further away from the treats you get, you might want to have some treats on your body. So say the treat distraction is over there. If you're like 30 feet away from the treats, you might start to get a problem marking and then having to get to the treats, because that's very predictable. You want your reinforcers to be unpredictable with dogs because they start to anticipate it. So they'll want to go faster towards the treat area if they really want them. So if you're further away and you're practicing heel work with no treats, you mark the treats are far away, and surprise, I have a treat near me. And that's really going to create some reliable behaviors in your dogs. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support my work, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. You can also become a supporting member of channel Kikopup by clicking the join button, which gains you access to one extra members video a month that you can find in the community section of my YouTube channel. See you later. Wishy, can you sit pretty? Both paws.